Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Lauren Conlon of Pop Crime TV, and I am here with everybody's favorite human in general, Jack Fox of Never a Truer Word videos. And you
That's
can,
the kindest thing anyone's said to me all year.
but you are, I'm not even going to say that you're everybody's favorite statement analysis expert. You're literally everybody's favorite person. So,
I'll take that. It's been a long week.
oh, really? Has it?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of traveling this week. Yes,
Oh,
been a long one, but I'm fine. I'm
yeah.
fine. It's Friday. We're good.
I know it is Friday, and I'm beginning to do some travel. So we're heading out of town this weekend, and then I've got to go out of town next week. So it's always one of those things. I'm just packing my kids' stuff is so annoying to me. I don't know why that stresses me out so much, but anyway, that is not why we are here. But I had been getting a lot of messages and emails to have Jack go over some other elements of the ongoing legal drama between Laura Owens, former radio host, I guess. I'm not really sure what her exact job was. I do see radio host and other things, real estate, and then the Bachelor's Clayton Echard. So we've gone over a few things that people have sent us, emails that were, oh my gosh, the email was crazy. I mean, that's what we did before break, Jack, right? I think it
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
email.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was the messages that she was sending back and forth, wasn't it? It was just nuts.
Yes, yes. And you and I were kind of going back and forth, and I know I don't want to go too deep into this, but I'm just like, man, what happened? Like you almost have to like dig in and have some kind of psychologist really dive into why, I guess. Why continue with this whole thing? But anyway, good morning to everybody. Charlotte, Sheila, Just Jen, Jody, Sue. Am I missing anyone? Aaron, hi guys. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with some court transcripts.
Yes.
So I have these where we can follow along. I can pull these up right now. Hey, Forrest. Hey, Amy. That's so funny. Amy, only about 50 more live streams to get caught up to. This case never ends. That's so
It
funny.
does never end, and the twists keep on coming for me because I don't know this story. So everything new I look at like this is new to me. And when I see, I'm going to talk about hopefully the pregnancy test that was all of a sudden moved to Los Angeles, and it's like, whoa, where did
I'm with
these
you.
things come from?
This is me too. I don't know this case enough. And like I said, and I think that's what makes this so interesting is that you and I are strangers to this case. I am reacting to what you are deciphering in your expert opinion. We don't necessarily have any sort of background. I mean, we do kind of now, but anyway, so okay, interesting. No job. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I saw
all right.
her dad was a radio presenter, which I'm looking at that as well. Her mom was in radio as well, which explains potentially her need to do everything in public and not do anything quietly at all.
Yeah, and I've heard this. I mean, you've met my friend Frank, who's on the radio, and it's an ongoing struggle for these people because it's like their loved ones don't want their lives to be publicized necessarily, but these people do feel the need to do that, and I don't know if that's super healthy, but that's just me. And Forrest, thank you so much for being a member for 5 months. I so
Wow.
appreciate you. So let's get into it. I'm going to add some of these transcripts to the stage here. Jack, I think which page do you want to start? I think we started on 14 or 13 or something.
Yeah, it's about 13, 14. It's the very start of direct examination. I have to say there is some things to look at in direct examination, but really it's under cross that we'll really get to see just how Laura acts. I think that in general, just looking at the direct examination, she's been well rehearsed, well coached.
Yeah.
She keeps her answers quite tight and quite locked down. There are a couple of things that I've spotted in them. It's once the pressure really gets on and cross that we start to see things. And I think The majority of people watching this, I think, are kind of think that Laura Owens is not a very good person, is not someone who's quite familiar with the truth. So what I want to do here, as much as anything, is just tell you how liars behave especially when they're answering questions. You'll be able to see it in people all around you, but you will also see some of the tactics in Laura's answers.
Okay.
That doesn't prove she's lying, but you'll see so many of them that you'll be going, right, so is she telling the truth or is she not telling the truth? What does the data tell me from what I see in her answers?
Totally. Okay. I'm okay. Well, should we start with direct and kind of go through that and then go to cross, or how do you want to?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
my expertise is in words, but some of the things in here just about
Yeah.
life blow my mind. So there's the question there that I think is on your screen just down the bottom there, which is, when did you first meet Mr. Echard? And she says, May the 17th, I believe. We connected on LinkedIn. And now watch her. She's asked a lot of dates, and in some of them she's very certain, and then in other ones she puts in this "I believe" there. Let's see if we can spot a pattern. I haven't really spotted a pattern with them so far, but maybe people more knowledgeable with the case will be able to spot that "I believe" is maybe hiding things, and she's doing that not so sure of something, because we hate lying as people. Or not hate lying, we hate being caught out and called out as a liar. So
Right.
when we do tell a mistruth, we might qualify it slightly and say, I believe. So if someone says, for example, well, actually, it was May the 15th or it was May the 5th. Oh, yeah, it was. Well, that's why I said, I believe. I wasn't 100% certain in that. So that could be why those I believes are there. It could be that she just doesn't have a direct recall of when these things were, but she does do a lot of I believes at certain time with dates, and she doesn't do it at other times. Like with the next question there, were you intimate with them at some point? Yes. When was, what day was that? And she says May 20th. So that's not qualified with an I believe. She seems to know that one. Bang. Exactly. Then just going into things. So look for extra. So she's asked questions, and 90% of the questions she's asked in direct can be answered just yes or no. And that is fairly standard. It's just establishing facts. We're not the typically in direct, they're not wanting a big narrative answer unless they signal for one. They're just wanting to establish these facts. So at some point after you were intimate with him, did you test positive for pregnancy? She says yes. Do you remember the first time it happened? And she says it was the evening of May 31st. Now, why does she say it was the evening of May 21st? That feels really extra to me.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Exactly. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? What does it add to what is being said? The next thing I want to look at is maybe page 16.
Okay. 16.
And she's,
Got it.
yeah. And this is talking about, I'm so familiar with this story now. So this is about her going round to Clayton's to say she was pregnant, and Clayton, in her version of events, and I think Clayton agrees with this, wanted her to take a pregnancy test as well, so that he could see with his own eyes that she was pregnant. Did you know in advance that he was going to give you the test? I did not. Did you take the test in front of him? Yes, I did. Did he actually watch you pee on a stick? Yes, he did. What was the result of that test? It was positive. The one thing I noticed there, the very first answer, and I'm presuming this is a very good court's transcript. And by the way, the person that did it, the court reporter, it's amazing. I really was able to follow it entirely. Did you know in advance he was going to give you the test? And she says, I did not. Very formal. We go, I didn't.
Yeah.
We contract it. In conversational English, we tend to say, I didn't. Liars, I'm not saying this proves she's a liar, but liars will sometimes talk very formally because they think it gives them more gravitas. It makes them more believable when they say, I did not.
Yeah, and something else, Amy, I'm with you. And Jack, we went through this previously. Didn't he say that she said she was shy or something, and that she couldn't do it with him watching her? So he didn't. I mean, that right there, that is a lie. I'm just confused. Like, isn't it a lie?
And that comes up later on in this because she's asked a little bit more about that and the stage fright that she says she has. Yeah. So we will look at that.
Okay.
Right down at the the bottom, so we would call it X-rated here in the UK.
Oh,
What would you
yes.
call it in the States? It's got a bit
No,
of a
same
warning to it,
thing.
this
Same
bit.
thing. X-rated.
Okay.
Yeah.
That there is a
Ah,
quote from an email from Clayton. So let's look at Clayton as well, because there's two things going on here. So who
yeah.
is speaking and who's telling the truth? And this is from an email that he sent, and it says, "Considering you only performed oral sex with me and no vaginal penetration occurred, the chances of you being pregnant seem considerably low. Although, again, maybe rubbing up against one another allowed a sperm to make its way inside you. It's a very low probability. Nevertheless, it is one." Now, to
Mhm.
me, that is what the truth looks like. It's very straightforward. There's no
Right.
persuasiveness in there. There's no going to big absolutes here or anything like that. It's just a very straightforward retelling of events. It's got no drama, no histrionics in it. He's not trying to persuade or convince us of anything in his words there. It's just very, very straightforward. And also, it reads to me that he is open, as bizarre as it might
Yeah.
seem, to
I
the
know.
fact that something could have happened. And we are all taught when we get sex education at school that there are many ways for sperm to find its way to fertilize an egg, and that we should always be very careful. So he's open to that. So that, to me, that extract from Clayton's email reads to me like the truth would read.
And for me, I look at that and I'm seeing distance a bit just because he's using the scientific terms, I guess. He's not using, and he's emailing her and she basically thinks they're in some kind of relationship and he's speaking like he's a science teacher or a health teacher, or the way he's saying penetration and like, sorry, you know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah,
just is like,
that's
yeah.
That's a really good point. I think we all have points in relationships where, around all sorts of things, but especially around this, we develop our own language that we will use when we're close with someone around
Right.
the things we do, and the things that we want to do. And this is very much like to a stranger talking here, using those you're right, vaginal penetration,
Yeah.
sperm to make its way inside you, those very scientific, almost polite terms that that could be phrased by a dude as some
Yes.
very, very, very differently, but he's kept it all a little bit.
Yeah, and if I could just go one step further as well, him saying, I guess there's a possibility. What I'm thinking is that he is so confused that he could even, I guess, be in court, right? Or he could be, he knows what she has been doing, how she is escalating this whole thing. And she says, this is it. I'm pregnant. We can go to court. I'll prove it to you. I think he is just in disbelief here that he's like, I guess if she's going through all of this, and I'm assuming this email was before he knew a little bit more about her and her history, that he's like, I guess there's a possibility if she's going through all this trouble. I mean, and that's my opinion, but
Yeah. Another
weird.
thing to do in statement analysis is look at what could have been said. So it's almost like what's missing, but that could have been,
Mhm.
"Get out of town, girl. Ain't no way. What are you trying to do? Go and do
Yeah.
one."
Yeah.
And it's not that. So again, that just all builds up the credibility of Clayton to me in this interaction.
Yeah. Totally. Okay.
Our next one I want to look at is page 18.
Okay.
And
Got it.
down the bottom. So this is for people who are aware of the story. This is around about talking about the Planned Parenthood test that was done, which is it takes a real left turn
Yes.
under cross examination. And this is just a great tip for you. Look at when someone is asked a question, do they answer the question that is asked, or do they change the terms of reference? And that's what happens here, because right down on line 18,
Yep.
Laura, you're Lauren, she's Laura.
Yeah.
I need
Oh
to remember
gosh.
that
Don't
every time we
do
do
that.
this.
No, just kidding.
She's asked, did you change the name at the top of the sonogram? And she says, of the location, yes. So she changed the location, not the name. But she's asked, did you change the name at the top? So that really is her redirecting down somewhere and avoiding the part, the name on this sonogram test is slightly iffy. And she's gone, of the location. And she's asked, so she doesn't answer the question. So that should immediately put your red flags up when you hear someone not answering the actual question, changing the terms of reference, and just wanting to take that off ramp away from what is sensitive and what is going to cause you stress and onto something that you're a little bit more happy talking about. She's asked, why did you do that? And she says, I changed it because Mr. Echard was being threatening towards me, and I didn't want him to know where I had gone and tried to track down my providers.
What?
Yeah, well, on my notes right here. Oh, sorry. Right here in front of me on my notes, I've got a big question mark. What does that mean?
What does it mean? What?
And it's a great something I've learned so much over the past couple of years when I've been studying this, is that when you do that, when you have that what reaction to something, it is potentially because the person doing the talking is making it up. They don't have the authentic experience. They don't have the authentic feelings and emotions to convey what was going on at the time with them. Therefore, words come out that are constructed. They're not real. They're not conveying what is inside that memory, and they will come out like that. It's you know, I didn't want him. He was being threatening towards me, so I didn't want him to track down my providers. But also, it's very passive. Mr. Echard was being threatening towards me.
No,
not
he
direct.
wasn't.
It's not.
I don't even.
She's not saying Mr. Echard was threatening me, or I was being threatened. You know, he was being threatening towards me. It's very distant. Again, if you are being threatened by someone, you've got the emotions, you've got the feelings, and you will be able to convey them when you're talking. She could have said, "I was really scared of Mr. Echard." But she didn't. She just says this very passive, Mr. Echard was being threatening towards me. So again, that little section there, change the term of reference, and then this passive description of threat makes me go, I don't think that happened. I will find out that really what happened was slightly more bizarre.
I pinned Jody's comment, Jody Lynn, because I know that you are just joining, and I think Jody is even less up on this topic than we are, and she can just see right through it immediately. And I guess I'm confused because, she's pestering him via email. She wants him to sign a dating contract. She's saying, come to, doctor's appointments with me. Yet he's threatening her allegedly. And she changes the location and not the name. That is super, super strange. I'm like, and that's without, let's say I don't know anything. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So, thanks, Adam. But this is just so sorry. That got me. I don't know why that got me, where I'm like, this is such a lie. As
I understand it, she went under an assumed name to Planned Parenthood. Or she went under the name that she managed to find a sonogram for, and also would not say which Planned Parenthood she had gone to. Very, very strange thing to do, frankly. I mean, that whoever it was that said this is all very foolish. Yeah, it seems that way to me.
Yeah, and this is her direct still, right?
Yes, this is direct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. Wow. All right. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's go to page 19, line number 9. I feel like I'm in court here with all these.
Right.
And again, this is changing the terms of reference to the question. So the question is, after the sonogram in California. Oh, I meant to mention this. I always have a refresh of my notes just before I do something like this, and I'll always notice something differently. And this is her lawyer. He talks about the California sonogram. Now, California is a big old place. Why is he talking about the California sonogram and not a very more precise location? I think we'll find out why that is shortly, but it's interesting that he has just called it a California sonogram. Anyway, after the sonogram in California around July 23rd, did something happen in terms of you passing tissue or anything like that? Laura says, yes. Can you explain briefly what happened on July 23rd? And she says, yeah. I wasn't having any symptoms at all. Now, that has got nothing to do, again, with the question that was asked. The question was, did something happen in terms of passing tissue? So if she says, yes, can you explain? She should talk about passing tissues. But instead, she wants to tell us that I wasn't having any symptoms at all. Why? It's extra. It's not needed. And she's decided that, in fact, is the most important thing that she wants to say. It feels scene setting to me. It feels like she's setting a stage for something to happen.
Well, I feel like she's covering her own butt, because if she was with someone on that day and she's not feeling any type of pain or cramps, which, by the way, if any woman has unfortunately experienced a miscarriage, and I have, and I'm okay with it, but it's just like, it's very painful regardless of what stage of it you're in. And you are not going to be like, well, I really didn't have any symptoms, and then I just like passed some tissue. That's not how it goes. You are, again, regardless, you were pretty much kind of doubled over in pain from what you believe is serious period cramps. But anyway, it's disgusting. This is gross. But yeah,
that's a great point. Then, so that's why she has said that, because she has, but like many things with Laura, she's had miraculous happening in her body that doesn't happen to normal people, and so her first thing in talking about this is to cover off why someone might say this is not true, because you, as you said, you weren't. I was with you that day. Everything was fine.
exactly. Yeah.
But I did pass tissue, and it looked like it could have potentially been a miscarriage. So we've got two real vague words in there: could have potentially been a miscarriage. This is not that strength of you. You used the words there. I've had a miscarriage, is what you said. This is could have potentially been a miscarriage. So again, I don't think this is an authentic, or there's markers there that this is not an authentic experience that she's talking about. And later on in line 22, she says it looked like it could potentially be miscarriage tissue, but I wasn't sure. So we've just, in all of that story, we've just pulled apart. It's about a page worth of testimony, but there are so many markers around that miscarriage or potential miscarriage that don't ring true in the story to me.
Ugh, I'm disgusted, to be honest. I mean, I know that this is, I guess I don't know how else to say it. I guess I'm just being careful because of just legal issues, but I just feel like this is so offensive because of all the lies. You know what I mean? I just don't. All right, continue.
Yeah, it's all right. Let's go down to page 23.
Okay. Page 23. Yes, got it.
And on line 9, she's asked the question. So this is about DNA testing. So the Lauren. Oh God, I've done it again. I'm going to get a swear jar every time I call her Lauren. Apologies.
Please,
I'm
okay.
going to drop somebody in there. So Laura and Clayton apparently took or were going to take a DNA test to prove the paternity of the baby. So on line 9, she's asked, what did you do to verify that? And her first words are, we took a test. And then she says, well, I paid for a test in August at Ravgen, which was the lab that he chose to conduct the test. And I paid for it, and he did not schedule his part of the test. So this is, we took a test. It's so definite. It's so certain. And then she tells us that there was no test. It's very, very strange wording. Do you remember? It's one of my favorite bits of court of all time. Amber Heard and Pledge versus Donate.
Yep.
And she was asked, how much did you donate to whichever charity it was? And she said, I pledged £1 million or whatever it was. And it was, no. I asked you how much you donated. And Amber Heard was like, well, I use them synonymously. And she was trying to say that a pledge, which is a promise to give money, was the same as giving money. And this is what I feel is going on here, is this, and it comes up a couple of times in this testimony that she says the intention of doing something is as good as the doing something. And it's not, but it seems to be in her life that the fact that there was an appointment made for this test is we took a test. No, that's not what happened. It's a concept that she uses quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, because you're so right. And I don't know if anybody necessarily picks up on that, where she's like, yes, we took a test. Well, in the same breath almost. And that's wild that nobody really seems to catch on to that, I guess.
Yeah. Let's go to page 27 next. Okay. Because in this great story of pregnancy, phantom miscarriages, and so on, we get into a real estate dispute.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a bit of testimony and a bit of questioning about did something go wrong? Did you say you were going to make some offers on some properties and he didn't make them? She says yes. And did you file a complaint? And she says yes, I did. Did you receive a response from the board regarding your complaint? She says yes. And she's asked, what was that response? And she says, they found him in professional violation of a couple of things, but I can't remember what they were. Now, that is pure, I can remember what they were. They weren't that important, and I'm not going to actually come out and say them. You know, this is someone who seems to have documented every single aspect of this relationship. So, again, I'm not familiar with this part of the case, but I would bet if someone is familiar with this case, or can someone digs into that the professional violation of a couple of things, I don't imagine were either happened or were that serious at all.
I'm so surprised. I mean, like I said, I keep getting more surprised as we go through every single page. I mean, just in general, I guess that it's gone this far and this woman has taken things this far. It's such a waste of everybody's time and money. And it's like, it's beyond delusion. And the important thing here, right? If he actually was in violation of certain things, and this is serious, I mean, right? This is his career. This is allegedly her career. She doesn't know what those things are. She has no idea what he was in violation of, but she reported him. I mean, that's weird. I'm going to report you, but I have no idea what you were found. Okay, yeah, this is.
And this happened on May the 24th, 25th. So this is when she is supposedly, they've just been intimate and she's about to find out that she's pregnant. It's just nuts. It's just nuts.
Okay, wow.
Let's go to the bottom of page 29 because we're going to talk about peeing on a stick here, which is nothing more I like to do on a Friday morning. She has asked some questions around this. Did you do anything at all to tamper with the results of those tests? And she says no. Now, I should point out, in fairness, that is a very short, crisp, direct answer. It's would be very hard to say that is a lie, but it's a little bit too short for me. I'd prefer to hear no, I didn't tamper with the results. But anyway, did you take any drugs, hormones, or any substance at all to affect the outcome? She says no. Did you use someone else's urine to change the outcome? She says no. She's then asked, in Clayton's deposition, the exact issue came up about him giving you the test and wanting you to take it in front of him. And he testified, I'll just read from the deposition.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure she didn't bring anything into the bathroom, but she couldn't pee right in front of me because she said she had stage fright. So I closed the door so she would be able to pee. Now, again, when we look at Clayton's words, those are all really straightforward. There's no turning it up to 11. There's nothing trying to persuade us that these things happened. It's just factual, starts at the beginning, goes on, boom, 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 hits a beat. She's asked, is that disposition testimony truthful? Now, she doesn't say yes there at all. Or, interestingly, she doesn't say no either. And it's a red flag. When someone's asked a question, you can answer with yes or no. If they don't say yes, no, or I don't know very quickly in the answer, and she doesn't say it there.
This answer is so weird, Jack. This is a weird answer. Weird.
She says, I did have stage fright. He was right. I did tell him that, but I did pee in front of him because he insisted that I did that.
What does that even? Sorry, so is it yes or no, babe? Is it yes or no? I don't follow here.
Yeah, I would bet a lot of money that what we've got here is something called personal definitions going on. So again, when we're lying, we like to convince ourselves that we're actually telling the truth. We're just, massaging it a little bit. And I would bet that the thing that's happened here is her definition of pee in front of him is slightly different from what he would mean, which is that, sorry to get really graphic really early in the morning, but peeing in front of someone would be seeing that person do it, actually seeing it happen.
Okay.
Whereas I think that some people could persuade themselves that if the door was closed, but they were the other side of the door, there was just a door between them, then that might be peeing in front of them, especially if there was some noise accompanying it to make it sound like, you could hear it happen or something like that. I would bet
I
that is
wouldn't
the
say
kind of
so.
thing that happened. And it does not, like you say, I don't know from that answer because it's just so weirdly worded. Did she actually pee right in front of him or
That was
in?
the dumbest answer I've ever heard. I'm just like, I don't understand what you're going for here. Are
But
you admitting that it's just, yeah, it's
yeah,
another bizarre thing to just, yeah, add to your little weirdo box with her.
again,
So
look at what could have been said. Is that deposition testimony truthful? I did have stage fright, but I pulled it together and I did pee in front of him.
yeah,
That would be
keep it
crisp
simple.
and simple. That would be
Mhm.
so crisp, so simple. Right,
I
where are we
mean,
going next? Sorry, on
yeah,
you go.
sorry. I'm
That's
just
all right.
I'm looking at that again, but I did pee in front of him because he insisted I did that. It's almost like she knows that he was being truthful, so she's taking the parts that she wants to include of his truthfulness and include that in her statement so it looks like, she's not lying. That's my opinion. Cuz he was right because he insisted I did that. It's yeah. I
Yeah.
can see right through her BS.
It's
It's
not that hard, actually.
You're right.
Page
Huh,
Page 32 next. Now, this is an
okay.
interesting one, especially as this comes up in direct. And on line 17, um, then this is about her ex-attorney. And she's asked, what did you have to do? What did you have her do with regard to Clayton and the pregnancy issue? And she says, I wanted to prevent filing a case publicly in court for both our sakes. I didn't want it to be public, and I thought that we could come up with a parenting plan if, in fact, the pregnancy was Clayton's.
But she's so sure. She was so sure
Everything
that
I've
it
seen from
wasn't.
her. She's been celibate for a year. She had sex one time and got pregnant. Um, and then right there, there is that doubt. And you'll notice that we've talked about Clayton's words being straightforward and direct and knowing what is very about events. So is that. So is if, in
Oh,
fact, the pregnancy was Clayton's.
that is a mic drop moment right there. You nailed it because she said, what was it? I had been abstinent for a year.
She said I'd been
I
celibate, yeah.
celibate, sorry, for a year. And now all of a sudden, if in fact it's Clayton's, well,
Mm,
why would you say that? Why would you cast doubt if he's the only one that you've allegedly been with for the last year? Again, that right there to me would be like, hey, we're going to drop this now. You're not even sure. So
yeah,
this is, ugh, okay,
yeah.
continue.
And
Wow.
listen, the thing is, the lesson here, let's be moral and let's be good. Let's start off the year like good people. It's
Hmm.
really hard to lie. It's ridiculously difficult to lie, especially if you look at this. And if Laura is lying, she's lying in there, but then there's the whole world around her that exists, and she can't change that through lying. The things that have happened, and the things that she knows have happened. So making your lie realistic, it's just blooming hard, and your mind will talk. Your mind will talk for you, and your mind only knows the truth. And at some point, even if you're trying to control what you're saying really, really hard, little things will slip out, like that could have slipped out that says, if in fact it was Clayton's. And it's just really, really hard.
Wow. Okay. I mean, no, you're right. It is really hard because she keeps slipping and messing up and she doesn't even realize it because it's second nature to tell the truth, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, you're just like, ugh. Okay.
It's it's to think about when you've had a drink and the filter goes and that's how actually it's how we operate most of the time,
Hmm.
because we're not hiding things. We know when we're chatting to someone about what's happened this day, or when you meet someone and say, what did you do at the weekend? They're
Yeah.
not hiding things. You just go and your brain is not engaged in choosing the words and picking the words When you're lying, you have to just use a different part of your brain. And that doesn't work all the time because your brain's thinking away. Lying's really hard. You're constructing the lie. You're going, does this work with what other people know? It's dead hard to do. And that part, the automatic part of your brain will take over sometimes when this part is overwhelmed and things will leak out.
This is a good question, though. Is that true for those that are mentally ill, or is that just completely different? I don't know if you know the answer to that.
I don't. I'm going to statement analyze that. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're asking, Kathy. Is that true? Is
I took
that
that she was talking about the way people lie, like it's very difficult for them to lie, or is it second nature to tell the truth if you're mentally ill, or do you just, that's what I took it as. But
Kathy, I'll give you just the easiest explanation to deal with this. So if I tell you that I've got a green car, you have no reason to think I'm lying. You will believe, Kathy, I've got a green car. And if anyone says, what color is Jack's car? You'll say it's green. And you will exhibit all the behaviors of telling the truth because you believe I've got a green car. It's a lie because I've got a red car, right? But you are telling the truth as you know it, as you understand it. So you will have all the truthful descriptions there. You'll never leak out that I've got a red car because you don't know I've got a red car. I think when we look at mental illness, and mental illness can change people's thought processes, can change how they feel about things. Severe ones can even change what people believe the truth to be. Then they will exhibit, they might say things that are not true, but they will believe them to be true. So if someone is having some sort of episode, they will say exactly what they believe is true. There'll be nothing else to leak out when they do that, because as far as they're concerned, that is the truth as represented inside their head. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But hopefully, Kathy, that answered your question a bit.
If not, Kathy, get in touch, drop me an email or something, because I do not. I get asked a lot of questions about autism and people being on the spectrum, neurodiversity, and language, and it's not something I know enough about, in my opinion. So it's always interesting to have a chat with it. I could quite often get, this is a little bit of an off ramp, but I quite often get people talking to me about some of their neurodiversity issues and saying, I do one of these things that you say is a lying red alert, but I do that. It's the way my brain is wired. I'm neurodivergent, and these conversations are fascinating.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. All right, let's get back to the
Sorry.
God.
Let's get back. Page 34.
Okay. Got it.
And down there on line 13, did you know when you wrote that? And I'm sorry, she's wrote that many things. I'm lost track of which thing she's written here, but it's not really that important. Did you know that anyone would ever see it in the light of day other than you, than Dr. Simon? And she says, nope. And then she says, I had no idea. Now, that is another red flag for deception, because we very often have ideas. How did I broke a glass pot about 15 minutes before this happened. If I was a child, my mom was saying to me, how did that happen? I'd go, I have no idea. Whereas,
right,
because I broke it, I do have an idea. But also, if I said to you, I broke a glass pot, Lauren, how did I do that? You'd go, did you drop it? Were you washing it and it smashed? Did you bang into it? Did you throw something and hit it? You'd have lots of ideas. So I have no idea is very often a flag for deception. I don't know, or I didn't know is more often truthful. The next question is
so right. That is such a good point. Of course you have an idea. I have no idea. That is such a lie. Anyone who says, I have no idea how I broke it, you're so right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
The next question is, can you explain why you changed the name at the top of the sonogram that we talked about before from Planned Parenthood? I don't know if you answered that before, so we're back on your favorite subject. And by the way, we've been going 40 minutes on direct, and I said there's not very much in direct.
I know. You're right. Okay.
It's all right. I'm only trying to get part 2 out of it.
We will.
And her answer is, I just didn't want Clayton to know where I had gone to get the sonogram, because he had been intimidating before. Now, my red flag for deception word there is the word just. Just appears so often in deception. And it is I've got a whole big reason for things, but I'm going to say just. So I'm drawing your focus into this really small area that's there. There may be lots of reasons why I did this, but I'm going to use the word just. So you focus in on this, and also just's a small word. I just did this. So it's a very small, trivial thing, but it's only one thing. It's very small and trivial. Let's just, do that. But again, we've got this, I've got that question mark there, which you raised earlier. What does this mean? You changed the name because you didn't want Clayton to know where I had gone to get the sonogram because he had been intimidating before. In the earlier answer to that as well, it was that passive thing of he was being intimidating. So this is now, that was intimidating in the present tense. It's now intimidating in the past tense. So I think we are seeing two slightly different things here. Again, and
yeah, if someone's intimidating me, I'm not going to continue to pressure them to be in a relationship with me, have them sign some kind of dating contract, try to get them to be a part of my life if they are intimidating. I'm going to call law enforcement. That's me. But yeah.
Right. Let me find my next set of notes because I don't think there's very much left there.
Okay. It's so wild to me. She keeps saying he was intimidating, but yet she's still trying so hard to be a part of his life as well.
Yes. Let's go to page 45.
Okay. Got it.
Right up the top. So line 2 to 6.
Okay.
And she's asked, Laura, let's look at Exhibit A6. Can you tell us what Exhibit A6 is? Ugh. And she says, yes, that's me showing my pregnant stomach. Interesting way of phrasing things.
Your pregnant stomach? Just say my belly. My belly.
Yeah.
My belly.
I can't think of any woman I have known who's pregnant who doesn't consider their whole self pregnant. They talk about, I'm pregnant, not I've got a pregnant stomach. I'm
shook. I'm shook. And if I may, just one more time, I'm not making, I guess I'm trying not to make generalities, but I will say a large percentage of women who have not been pregnant before, they don't show until like 4 months into the pregnancy. I mean, I think many women in this chat will agree with me. You want a belly because you just feel fat, but like you don't have a belly, like until, you know what I mean? That can actually be pushed out probably until like 20 weeks, I want to say. I mean, it's, again, not being super general, but you don't take pictures of your whatever. Okay. I'm getting angry. I'll stop.
All right. Before we move on to the next page, don't move on to the next page yet. You've spoken about the fact you're a mum. When you were pregnant, did you have any symptoms?
Yeah.
And what were they?
I didn't feel great a lot of the time. I felt nauseous and I just felt tired.
Okay. Let's go to page 46.
Okay. But by the way, I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time, I guess.
That's all right.
I'm sure there would have been more, but that's all I really remember.
Okay. She's asked, could you explain your pregnancy symptoms? Can you explain what those symptoms were? She says, yeah. I had very bad morning sickness and nausea, and my breasts were very tender. Now, that to me reads like it comes out of a medical textbook. Mm-hmm. You used the word feel when you spoke about it. You went, I felt nauseous, and I was very tired. You spoke about experience there rather than this. I had very bad morning sickness and nausea, and my breasts were very tender. That was, it's not emotional. You spoke and you used the word feel.
I'm dying because she's so right. It's the web. My breasts were very tender. They were very tender. No, you're so right. I felt like shit. I don't know. I felt tired. You're so right. That was it.
Yeah. Wow. I think it is time to move on to cross-examination.
Oh, I am so ready for this. And somebody, I think I had just pinned this because it was Eyes on Lies. It was good. It sounds like distancing from her pregnancy, especially when she said my pregnant stomach. That was the weirdest thing ever. I'm showing my pregnant stomach. What?
Yeah. It's. I think I saw someone. You might have mentioned it as well. They were talking about baby bump, and that is something. that's baby bump. But women are pregnant. It is part of their being when they talk about it. It's
Yeah.
not, here's my pregnant stomach.
I know. It's the weirdest thing. And you're so right, because until you've experienced it and it is truthful, you just make such a good point. I wouldn't be able to describe what it's like to be in some, you know what I mean, to be in a certain situation that I've never been in, as opposed to, yes, I've been pregnant and I am a mother and this is how I speak. But it's great points here all around about truthfulness.
Yeah. Okay. Page 50 then. So we're into
Yeah.
cross-examination then.
Oh,
And
good.
right down the bottom, we talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS.
Oh, the bottom.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. And she says, yeah, I've had that since I was 17. Yes. And the attorney says, okay. And you'll recall at the hearing on November 2nd, I specifically questioned you about any physical health diagnoses you had, right? And her answer is, I don't remember, but if you say so, then yes.
Ooh.
Now
Ooh.
that is just equal parts passive, equal parts just vague. And it's put to her, you failed to testify that you had PCOS, that right? And she says, I can't say one way or the other if I did or didn't. I'll take your word for it, but it's not something that and then we have some crosstalk. That stutter on I, so I can't say one way or the other. We are very, very wary of saying I and following it with something that we're not sure of or potentially is deceptive or a lie. So if you hear someone stutter on I when they're talking, they're having second thoughts about, or thinking hard about whether they should join themselves, I, when they talk, with what follows that I can't say one way or the other.
Wow. I mean, and just a side note, without generalizing here, I have two friends that have PCOS, and both of them have gone on to have successful pregnancies and children, but they had to do IVF because of this condition. It's not, you can absolutely get, sorry, I hate when I say absolutely in front of you, but you can get pregnant if you have it. I know it's Jack hates the word absolutely. You can get pregnant, but in a lot of women, it's very difficult and it makes things just challenging. So it is very interesting that they're bringing this up, especially since she got pregnant the first time she had. Anyway, yeah. Oh,
I'm laughing because I know what's coming next,
yeah. Yeah.
which is down the bottom of page 51, line 18 or line
Oh, wait.
16.
Okay, got it.
The question is put to her. So as you sit here, so this is talking about that she was diagnosed with cancer, apparently had one of her ovaries removed, and it's put to her. So you sit here today, you're denying that happened, and she says, "I will absolutely deny that happened." So there's your word, absolutely.
Wait, but also that is it me, or is that a weird way to say it? I will absolutely deny that happened instead of saying yes, I deny that.
It either happened or it didn't happen. Absolutely has got nothing to do with it. That's been put in there to turn up the severity, to make it sound more believable, to make it sound more credible. And
Mm,
also, I will absolutely deny that happened. I will have some food later on after this. So it's in the future.
future.
So
Yes. Wow.
I will deny that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Um,
Weird.
Yeah. Also, then again, just there on line 19. Now, per what you reported, what you self-reported to Mom Doc, they listed spontaneous abortion date of August 12th of 2023, 8 weeks pregnant, correct? And she says they listed a lot of things that were inaccurate here. I never told them that I had an abortion that date. So here we've got, it's correct. It's yes, it's no.
Right.
It's correct. It's incorrect.
Mm,
And instead,
yeah.
she's gone to tell us a story. She's gone extra. They listed a lot of things that were inaccurate here. I never told them that I had an abortion that date. Now, you were not asked what you told them. You were asked what was listed there. So
Right.
why are you not answering the question? Even if there was some wonder about what was there, the more reassuring answer is, yeah, that's what it says, but that's not what happened.
Right.
that would be a better way of saying it, instead of they listed a lot of things. Oh, they're terrible. They're all over the place there.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm just laughing because it's like, how many things can we just pick out of just what seem to be simple sentences or simple answers when they're actually anything but simple? They could be much simpler if they were truthful.
Yeah. Let's go to page 54.
Got it. Okay.
And the question is put to her: Miss Owens, during your deposition, specifically on page 149, lines 18 through 21, you testified that you started spotting, meaning you were having a light period in August or September of 2023, correct? And she says, I wasn't having a light period. I didn't end up getting a period until November. Now, that again is taking it off and just parsing the question and just taking that little bit out there, because there's all sorts of things about spotting and the dates and so on. And right in the middle of it is meaning you were having a light period. And she just goes, I wasn't having a light period. I didn't end up getting a period until November. So again, she's just not taking on the full breadth of what was put to her, just focusing on the little thing. And what we'll quite often find is that we'd much rather tell the truth as people. It's easier to do, and there's less social stigma if you're telling the truth and not caught in a lie. So what people will do, and it's kind of stupid because no one really buys it, but what people will do is, and this is just a hypothetical here, but if all of what is put there in that deposition, the dates, the spotting, if all that is rubbish, if all that has been a lie, rather than repeat the lie, she's gone into the light period. Oh, what? I didn't have a period. And it's then if it ever comes out that she was lying, she could say, no, I didn't say none of the other stuff happened. I just pointed out that I didn't have a period. It's something that people use to reassure them. We'd rather hide with the truth than hide in lies.
Ugh, it's just disturbing too that she wants to sit up there and discuss this. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, she voluntarily did this. She did this to herself, and she is so fine sitting up on the stand being asked these questions about these details of her body and her personal bodily. I just, it's beyond me. It's so bizarre. But thank you, Sinead, for your super sticker. You're so awesome. And I just wanted to shout you out before Jack goes on.
That's all right. Thank you, Sinead. Let's go to page, I think it's 55. Yeah, 55.
Got it.
Now, this is just going to be, this is where it gets wild, in my opinion. So line 12, you testified during your deposition that the alleged ultrasound with Planned Parenthood was in Mission Viejo, California on July 7th of 2023. And her response is, not yes, not no. And we've seen, as she's gone, she's been quite good. And we haven't looked at all of them because it's dead boring to look at yeses or nos. But as she's been going through, especially on direct, she's asked a question. She'll say yes or no very often there. And there's a pattern change here. And when the pattern changes, let's look into it. Let's go, why is that happening?
I mean, you
why
can't
do you say
that on the stand either? You can't say They're going to be like, what? Like, that's
yeah. You might say if you're being casual, or when someone's trying to persuade you to do something and you kind of know where it's going to go, and it's like, you know how you like going on long walks. I don't think I'm going to like what's coming next.
Right.
Then that is what I think we have there. So the attorney goes right to get some confirmation, and she says, I did say it was there. That's where I was staying at the time at Mission Viejo. So this is going to come up and bite her on the ass. While being examined by your attorney, you said you went to Planned Parenthood under a fake name, right? She says, right. So again, just when I say the truth, it's really straightforward, guys. That's something she can't argue with because it's just happened in court about half an hour earlier. So right, just straightforward. That's how the truth looks. But you didn't bother to provide our office, this is the attorney talking, with the alleged name that you went to Planned Parenthood under, right? She says, right, again. And you knew we were seeking your records for Planned Parenthood specifically because of the alleged ultrasound you had there, right? She says, right.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it have made sense for you to provide our office with a copy or the name that you allegedly went to Planned Parenthood under? It's a yes or no question. Yes, it would be sensible. No, it wouldn't be sensible. You could follow it up with no, it wouldn't be sensible because. But she says, I felt like the whole purpose of going to Planned Parenthood is to remain anonymous, and that's one of my protections.
Wait, what? Again, these are just one contradiction after the next. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Why would you want to be anonymous when this is all the truth? What does it matter? What does it actually matter if you're anonymous or not? I'm okay.
Yeah.
I,
So
I'm getting at this. Sorry, I
well,
can't.
don't
Oh.
quite go through all the next things.
Wait, this is
Because
actually an interesting question, Erica. I feel the same way. How would she go under a fake name? Doctors' offices ask for IDs and your insurance, but Planned Parenthood is probably different. If anyone has experience, you don't have to say so, but right, maybe because it could be a lot of younger women without insurance or without. I, I don't know. Maybe they don't ask for that. I'm not sure, but that's a really good question.
someone may correct me if I'm wrong, but I think did she go to Planned Parenthood because the sonogram was not from Planned Parenthood, that she said came from Planned Parenthood. It had a different name on it. She changed the location. It's been through Adobe Photoshop many times, this sonogram that was provided there.
Okay,
I
so there you
believe.
guys go. She didn't go there. That you need ID. She could like that again. It would take one phone call, right, to call the Planned Parenthood in Mission Viejo, whatever she said, to say, do you require ID? Do you require XYZ? Yes, we do. So right there, you can call her out on her bullshit. She's committing perjury on the stand, in my opinion here. I mean, what? And Erica, I know you're being so sweet and kind. Maybe it does vary by state, but I would go ahead and say no. Someone else, I think it was Don't F with Justice, said no, they're doctors. You have to follow the law. That's not like she's committing perjury, in my opinion. But okay.
Yeah.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
let's go to page 60.
Okay. 60.
And let's go to line 10 just to do the full story. So on line 10, page 60, the attorney says, it indicates the ultrasound image that you claimed was from Planned Parenthood was not from Planned Parenthood because it is not consistent with ultrasound images generated by their practice, right? And she says, not in the one in Mission Viejo, correct? It's put to her, the lawyer after my own heart. These are yes or no questions. This document states that the ultrasound image you claimed is from Planned Parenthood is not consistent with ultrasound images generated by their practice, right? Now, she's asked what the document states, but she's not going to say, for the life of her, yeah, that's what the document states. She's going to go and get into some sort of other argument somewhere else that she's going to feel much more comfortable in. And she says, by that practice, but as they said it, I could have been seen by another different entity.
Oh.
Miss Owens, you're well aware that this request covered all of Orange County and San Bernardino, Cali. And then she's interrupted and says, it didn't cover Los Angeles, though. So the question is put to her. Now you're saying you went to Planned Parenthood in Los Angeles, and she says, yes. So you talked about perjury earlier. She said Mission Viejo in the deposition and has testified to that. And now all of a sudden it's in Los Angeles. So she went under a fake name to somewhere she didn't want to say. And then when she said where it was, she said a different place. Blows my mind.
I
Blows my
was
mind.
just gonna say, why has she not been arrested for perjury? Because that is a punishable offense here. I mean, this is right here. We're connecting the dots, within 50 minutes that she's committed perjury on the stand.
Yeah. Line 7. Okay, when did you go to Planned Parenthood in Los Angeles? And her answer is exactly when I said I went. Boom. That is like a sulky kid. Do you know what I mean? You're like, when did you tidy your room?
Yeah.
When I said I did it.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So,
what the heck? What the heck?
Why not give the date? Why are you going all over the place? Potentially because she didn't go there. So she's, again, hiding things, hiding where she feels a little bit safe.
Huh. This is just it's so offensive. I mean, if I were Clayton's lawyer, I mean, I would just take one look at this and be like, I mean, this is going to be the easiest case I'm ever going to win, number one. But number two, it is such a waste of everybody's time. I mean, such a waste of time. But yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the very bottom of page 65.
Okay.
Because as this is going on, I'm only reading the testimony. I haven't actually seen what happened, but the attorney for Clayton seems to feel like she's looking too much. Laura is looking too much at her own attorney for
Oh,
guidance or whatever. So
got
the
it.
attorney says, "I'm going to stand here because it seems like you're looking at Mr. Greengrass quite a bit for guidance." And Laura
Wait, hold
says,
on. This is 65. Hold on. I missed that.
65, bottom of 65. Yeah.
Oh, got
Line 19.
I'm going to
There you
stand
go.
here. Got it.
Yeah. Laura says, "No, I don't need guidance from my attorney. I know how to answer the questions."
What? Like it's a test that you've had to study for? That
Yes.
is, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, no.
Yeah. I
Mm-mm.
don't need guidance from my attorney. I'm just answering your questions.
Wow.
It's just shows what is going on
Wow. Huh.
there.
How wow.
Um, I know.
Mm.
So much of what I've earmarked is just me going, what?
Wow. I know. I know. I mean, imagine I know how to answer the questions. It's just like, what? Again, this is not a history test that you had to study for. My goodness.
Yeah. We've just got, I think maybe just the one last thing to look at is on
Mm.
page number 69, down about line 13.
Okay. 13. Got
And this
it.
is just another example of her thinking that making an appointment is the same as going to the appointment. There on 13, you testified on November the 2nd that you had last seen Dr. Higley on last Friday. Right. She says, right. It's put to her, you lied to the court when you made those statements. And she said, I had the appointment scheduled.
Oh my gosh. Like what it is not the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. You're like that's a really good point you make. I don't know who because listen, I'm guilty of canceling appointments all the time just based on my schedule and whatever. And I know that I have to follow up on it. But I also can acknowledge that no, I still haven't gotten my physical. I plan to. I really did. I had good intentions, but
But yeah,
here we
and I do
are.
wonder, again, this is just hypothetical, but was she banking on the fact that she'd made these appointments as some kind of proof that, she could show the appointment card or the confirmation email that these appointments had been
There
made?
you
Would
go.
that be the proof?
Amy
But
said
then,
so. She had to
yeah,
have the screenshot there. That's her way of saying, "Look, yeah, that's BS." Because
yeah.
anybody can make an appointment anywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And then I think just the last thing I'm going to point out on this one is on page 70, line 5.
Okay.
So this is following up on this. You said you'd gone to these appointments and you'd only scheduled them, but you cancelled them. And it's put to her, so we would agree that you were dishonest when you said you were physically seen by Dr. Higley and the Friday before the November the 2nd hearing. And she says, correct. So she admits to dishonesty. That's a very minor thing.
What?
No, it's not.
What? Sorry. I can't.
Aye.
I
So,
mean, wait, what is the hey stop? Stop. Sorry, I
oh,
just saw that. That's
that
really funny
is,
after she said that's a
um,
minor thing.
I think that is some of her detractors, maybe people she's had dealings with in the past, shouting out in court.
Wait, that is so funny. It's a really minor thing that I lied about seeing this doctor. Yeah, Sinead, you got a lottery ticket. You definitely are on the way to winning the lottery for sure, for sure. But
Yeah.
wow, wow,
So
wow, wow. This is
no.
oh wait, it says that's her lawyer because the crowd was laughing at her response.
All
Oh
right.
my wait, so they all laughed? Oh my gosh. This is what I'm saying. Like, how do you take any of this seriously when she really has perjured herself so many times? And I'm not even talking about just detecting deception in her language, like it's provable perjury.
Yeah, that's the thing. I try to be very fair, no matter who I'm looking at, and I would say that there are times there from Laura when she does say yes or no to questions, which would be indications of the truth. However, when I see contradictions, I mean, I see someone quite happy to say they went to Planned Parenthood there and then say it was actually somewhere else, when it looks like the whole thing around the first one, Mission Viejo, is falling apart. Actually, it wasn't there. When I see those contradictions, I'm like, outright, you've lost the benefit of the doubt from me. I'm now going to treat you like you are not a nice person, like you are lying here.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the whole thing about Planned Parenthood to me is this is that right there. It's so provable. Like you have to call up each location and just say, do you require an ID or not? And I believe the answer is yes, or I'm almost certain the answer is yes. And that right there is like, how are you saying that you went there under a fake name? Show us the fake ID. Show us the sign-in sheet. We all have to sign into a doctor's office one way or another. I want to see this. And I mean, I'm guessing that the lawyers, because Jack and I don't know enough about this case specifically, I'm guessing the lawyers, tried to get that evidence during discovery, but who knows? I mean, that right there, I would feel like is enough to be like, let's just drop this. She's already lied. So
there are parts in the I think it's cross-examination where it's kind of like, you've only given us a little bit of like a little bit of the document that we were asked for. There's bits missing from this.
Right.
How this is going on to that point about mental illness earlier. This is someone who's living their lives under different rules or expectations from the majority of people. If you think that this is going to cut any mustard in a court of law.
And not only that, like, can you imagine having time to do this? Imagine how much energy and how this would just consume you, and how Clayton on one hand is like, let me squeeze this into my life somehow because I have to deal with this. And this wasn't part of my plan, where this is her life, arguably. This is her entire life, and this is what her life is revolving around. And so it's it's crazy. It is craziness.
It is, I'm no doctor, I'm no psychologist, but this is someone who is in need, as far as I can see, of a lot of help, because that this story does not end well.
No, it really doesn't. And I am curious to know if this will end in, an arrest or them pursuing her criminally, because this does seem like some kind of scam. Even though at this point, she really is spending her own money, but she's also getting others to spend their hard-earned money as well on lawyers and things like that, and clearly evidence and testing. And this is just, it's not right. It really is not right. It's so wrong. But we do have another plan, guys, to go over a TED Talk as well, because Jack has been looking into some of those, and I just don't want to. I don't want to cross the line over into cruelty by any means. I don't want to seem like we're making fun of anyone. No, I really, truly don't, because that is not what I'm about. And Jack is so not about that. It's more, again, about the words and about deception, and how Jack can teach us just, I guess, how to speak better and how to be more genuine, and also how to see through other people's, disingenuous nature, I guess. So.
Yeah. It is, I think a lot of people will be here because they follow Laura's story and they just saw some of the things happening and went, that smells funny. My gut instinct is telling me it's off. And what I hope I can do is point out, because we're built to sort of notice these things, to spot when someone's being lied to us, because it's a danger to us. So just like when smoke is in the air and we smell it and think, is there a fire? When we hear a bit of bull, our brains are hardwired to kind of go, this doesn't smell right, as far as words are. Way too often we go, I'm not being fair here. I'm just being too judgmental, and kind of rationalize it all out. But little things like that word just, like no idea, like not answering the question and going off in a little bit of safety there, they will happen all around you. And if you can see them happening, be on alert, be on standby, be edgy. It doesn't cost you anything to do.
Yeah, no. And I've had people comment like, don't F with justice. You were amazing, because you were like, I see everything so differently now in words because of Jack. And that it's the same thing over here. I see everything so differently. And also just pertaining to this and pertaining to Laura, at first, when I had first heard about this, I and don't get mad at me, everybody, because I will follow up on this. But at first I was like, man, I kind of feel bad for this girl, because she's mentally ill. She really thinks that this is all real. And then I dug a bit further and I saw that she had a history of this. It seems purposeful. It seems like it's sure maybe partially a mental issue, but also it seems very calculated to me. So, and there you go, a con artist. Thank you. That's kind of how I'm viewing this now, a much different light.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just, we've looked at the Medium post that she does. Someone said there about the GoFundMe that's currently being run for her father.
Yeah.
There just is this real thing running through. Oh, Amy, you'll love my background when I tell you it.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
thing
One thing
running
we
through
saw
them,
that.
this thing running through them, which just has a really loose relationship to the truth. So who knows it's there?
Yeah,
Who knows
and
what's going
I
on?
didn't you sent me that the thing about her dad and someone else did too. And at first I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, I don't like to touch things when somebody's ill or when I just feel awkward." But it sounds like everybody is kind of on the same page there that there's some red flags in those statements.
Yeah, I think with GoFundMe's, if people are not explicit about what the money will be spent, or if it
Yeah.
is, and I haven't seen this GoFundMe, so I don't know, but if it is a sob story, times are hard, please send some money, red flag.
Yeah.
Please send some money, which will be used to pay for hospital bills or to cover the expenses while I can't work or anything like that. That is a little bit more believable. When you see a scam GoFundMe, it's just send us some money. Things are
Yeah.
hard, or things are tight. Send us some money.
Right, right. But can you just tell everyone your background because it's so interesting. And guys,
Um,
Jack has written a book as well, so we should plug that.
Yeah, I mean, what is relevant in this term is I worked in radio for years, but hopefully
Wow.
none of my offspring operate like Laura. But that the that got me well into the power of words. But I've always been really interested in the power that words have to influence people. So whether that was working in radio and get people to listen to your radio show longer or to come back again the next day and listen to it. I studied hypnotism as well, and I've always been a little bit interested in con jobs. So one of my huge interests is magic and magic tricks. Which are all con jobs. And you know, when you see someone reading someone's mind and it's like, oh my God, they're amazing. It's all cons. And it's the language of them. And so if someone's doing a mind reading trick, um,
Wow.
they tend to use language very, very well. They will put someone at ease. They will set up some distractions, which is kind of what Laura was doing with the. I'm not going to talk about this. Look over here, and so it's all sort of come together for me. Language of persuasion, language of influence, the languages to be aware of that people don't like hearing as well, like the language of control, the language of ordering, and so on. It all kind of comes together when I look at something like this.
That is so fascinating. I mean, and you still get contracted for different jobs as well, right? Based on studying language and I mean, I don't know. Did you tell me this? Like someone hired you to see if, their husband or their wife was cheating on them or whatever just based on certain statements?
Oh, I've never done that. I
Okay,
have
it was
done.
very
I'm not. I don't think I can actually go into any details of it. I have done a
right.
horrendously complex family situation, which at the very end of it, they revealed involved some quite famous people, which I did not know about.
Wow.
Because I like working without context. I like just looking at the words. I don't like getting drawn left, right, and center. So that
Yes.
might be the
You know
one
what? It
you're
might have
thinking
been
about.
Peter Hyatt that told me about he was hired to do something like that. And then one of Peter's partners had told me that they were analyzing earnings calls for publicly traded companies to see, isn't that crazy? I was like, that's amazing to see what they're fabricating or see what they should be looking into the investors.
Yeah.
I was
Um,
like,
even funnier now is that is being Eyes on Lies is mentioned. Darren Brown, yes, one of
oh,
my heroes. Eyes on Lies is Darren Brown, absolutely phenomenal at conning people. Frankly, like just a great and amazing performer.
I'll have to look him up. I don't know him.
Oh, he's
Okay.
an English. We could have an argument all day long, but he's a magician. So he does all sorts of stuff that makes it look like he is reading your mind and controlling
Yeah.
your thoughts and influencing what you do. he's a magician. He does magic tricks, but he performs them with such style that folk go, oh my God, he's reading my mind. It's brilliant.
So it's funny, and just quickly, I don't know, have you guys watched the show Evil? Have you seen Evil? It's on Netflix right now. Okay. Quickly, it's like this forensic psychologist and this guy that's training to be a priest and this tech guy. They're going around and they're investigating things that could be considered a miracle, or someone's possessed by an actual demon, and this is a God thing, or it's a spiritual thing, or if it can be explained by science, or if somebody is good at, persuading people or conning people. It's such a fascinating show. I am obsessed with it. I have not slept, I feel like, all week, because all I do is watch it until 3 in the morning.
I am sticking that on my list.
Yes, please. It's so good. Even my husband, we literally were like, our internet went out last night. We were so angry because I was like, all I wanted to do was put the kids to bed and watch a show. I was like, ugh. Yes. Add it to your list. And guys, if you don't follow Jack, please make sure you subscribe to his channel at Never a Truer Word Videos, or go to his website, which is neveratruerword.com. Is that right?
Yeah, neveratruerword.com.
You can get his ebook as well, which is wonderful because it has everything that he teaches us in these, hour-plus videos, but in way more detail. So, yeah.
I was also going to say, Lauren, if anyone wants to talk about the Laura Owen things, because I know there's so much going on there, if you go to neveratruerword.com, you will find a link to talk to me on Telegram. I'd love to have some conversations about that over the weekend. And if you've got any questions or stuff that we'd like to talk about, then neveratruerword.com, find Telegram, and drop me a message there, and we could have a conversation over the weekend, because there is still I don't think we've even touched the surface of what is going on there.
No, and I also want to shout out Just Jen, because she was the one that sent me the transcripts that I had sent to Jack. So also continue to send me whatever you want. Like I said, Jack and I, we have some things that we will go over again, because this is so fascinating. Unfortunately, she seems to be a really good subject to zero in on deception. But yeah, so subscribe to Pop Crime. If you don't already, subscribe to Never a Truer Word Video. Yeah, we love doing these, and we love all the support from you guys. So Jack, thank you again. And
thank you for having me. Yeah.
We'll be in touch, okay? All right. Bye, guys. How's that 9